All right, let's dive deep into Heal Yourself. This book claims to help us unlock serious self-healing potential, and I'm super excited to explore it.
It's not just some theory either.
Oh,
The author had like the worst case of Lyme disease and it turned into all these other diagnoses.
yeah.
She's been through it, so she speaks from experience.
And it sounds like that experience is really the basis of the book. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not specifically about Lyme, is it?
Yeah.
More about the emotional and energetic roots of healing that she found.
Exactly. I mean, she went through conventional medicine and she felt like it was all about fight and kill.
Yeah.
Then acupuncture, which, it did help.
Yeah.
But all those appointments, and I don't know about you, but that tea gets old fast.
Oh, I know what you mean. Even when it's supposed to be good for you,
Right.
it can be a chore. But then she found energy medicine,
Yeah.
especially Donna Eden's work.
Yeah.
And that's when things really started clicking.
Yeah, but get this, even energy medicine, that wasn't the whole picture. Her real aha moment,
Yeah.
a trip to India.
India. Okay, now I'm really hooked.
Well, she realized she was so focused on external stuff.
Like what?
The bacteria, the symptoms, she was neglecting the internal.
Right.
It was about tackling those root causes, not just battling the symptoms.
So how do we start tapping into that inner healing power?
Well, she's a huge believer in the power of surrender.
Surrender.
But this isn't about, giving up or just resigning yourself to being sick.
Right.
It's about surrendering to the present moment, just accepting where you are without fighting it.
That sounds kind of abstract.
Yeah.
Did she give any examples of what that surrender looks like in practice?
Yeah, she has a story about getting an IV in India.
Okay.
It was really tough, super painful. She realized fighting it just made it worse. She had to surrender to it, let it happen, just to get through it.
Wow. That's intense. I can see how surrendering to that level of pain would be tough, but what about, I don't know, daily life? Most of us aren't facing down terrifying medical procedures every day.
Right, well, she gives 2 tools for cultivating that sense of surrender.
Okay.
Chanting and graceful begging.
Now, I've played around with chanting before. I can see how they can shift your internal state, but graceful begging. Tell me more about that.
Well, think of it as humbly asking for help from the universe or whatever higher power resonates with you.
Oh, okay.
It's not demanding a solution. It's more like acknowledging we don't have to do it all alone.
I see.
Opening yourself up to that support.
So instead of give me this, fix this now, it's more, hey, I could really use some help with this, universe. Any help is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
It's about shifting from that place of fear and struggle to acceptance and trust. She even gives specific scripts for graceful begging, helping you phrase those requests in a way that feels authentic and empowering.
That's amazing. Okay, so we're cultivating surrender. What's next in building that solid foundation for healing?
So she dives into some interesting techniques for creating that strong base.
What?
One that might surprise you is correcting the body's polarities.
Polarities. Okay, now you've got me curious. Break that down for me.
Think of it like this. Our bodies have a north and south pole, like a magnet.
Okay.
The south pole is at the bottom of your feet, north pole at the top of your head.
Okay, makes sense. So what do we need to correct?
Well, our modern lifestyle, all the shoes and electronics,
Yeah.
it's disconnected us from the Earth's natural energy.
Ah,
It throws our energy flow off, like a loose wire in a circuit.
that's a great analogy. So we need to ground ourselves, get back to nature.
Exactly. One simple technique, sit with your back against a tree, bare feet on the earth.
Okay.
Could be dirt, grass, sand, anything natural.
So a good excuse to get outside. What else can we do?
Walking barefoot's great.
Oh, yeah.
Wet grass is especially good, but any natural surface works.
It's amazing how something so simple can be so powerful. So we're reconnected to the earth, polarities aligned. What else is crucial for this foundation?
She's big on encouraging a crossover energy pattern in the body.
Okay.
So making sure there's a smooth, balanced flow of energy, like clearing kinks in a hose so the water flows freely.
Got it. No energy traffic jams.
Yeah.
How do we get things flowing in that healthy crossover pattern?
She introduces a technique called the eye trace.
Eye trace. Sounds simple but powerful. What's it involve?
You gently trace figure 8s around your eyes,
With.
your finger. Use a firm but gentle pressure.
So we're balancing energy by tracing figure 8s around our eyes. That's fascinating.
It might sound surprising, but the eyes are connected to so many energy pathways in the body. This tracing helps stimulate and harmonize them.
Okay, 2 down and my mind is already blown. What's next?
Next is balancing the thymus gland.
The thymus. So how do we balance that?
It's called the thymus thump.
Thymus thump. Okay, you're really keeping me on my toes with these names. What's the thumping all about?
You gently tap on the area where the thymus gland is.
Where's that?
Upper part of the chest with your fists. It's a surprisingly effective way to stimulate and balance the thymus gland.
Sounds like a good way to release some tension, too. All right, 3 elements down. What's the final piece of this healing foundation puzzle?
She calls it inching your way towards better thoughts and feelings.
Inching. So we don't have to force a massive overnight transformation.
No, it's baby steps. Gently guiding your thoughts and emotions in a more positive direction.
Okay.
Without trying to overhaul everything at once.
That feels way more manageable and realistic. But isn't this just wishful thinking? How do we actually, inch toward feeling better?
Well, this is where the law of attraction comes in.
Okay.
You've probably heard of it, the idea that, attracts, our thoughts and feelings influence what we bring into our lives.
Yeah, I have. It's a little, out there for me sometimes.
Well, she uses it in a really grounded way. It's not about forcing happiness or pretending everything's perfect. It's more about gently shifting your focus little by little toward what feels good, what you're grateful for.
So instead of forcing an entire garden to bloom overnight, we're planting those seeds of positivity and letting them grow naturally.
Beautiful way to put it. It's about nurturing those positive thoughts and feelings, allowing them to grow over time.
Okay, this is a foundation I can get behind. So we've got surrender, we've corrected our polarities, we're getting the energy flowing, we're thumping our thymus, and we're inching towards better thoughts and feelings. It's already feeling pretty powerful. What happens if, even with all this, we still hit a wall? What if we're still feeling stuck?
That's a great question, and it's something she addresses head on. She brings in the concept of blockages to healing.
Blockages.
Those, pesky subconscious patterns and beliefs that can sabotage our best efforts.
Oh, like energetic roadblocks.
Sure.
Okay, I need to know more about these. What are they and how do we even know if we have them?
So we were talking about how our subconscious mind, like that hidden control center, can sometimes totally mess up our plans.
Right. Even when we're totally committed to healing, it can really throw a wrench in things.
Exactly. And we were getting into those sneaky subconscious beliefs that can act as roadblocks on the path to healing.
Yes. The thymus test and TAP and EFT, those techniques were pretty mind-blowing. But now I'm curious about how we tackle limiting beliefs. Those I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to be healthy kind of thoughts.
Right. It's amazing how often those beliefs operate under the radar.
Totally. We might not even realize they're there, but they can have such a huge impact on our lives. So where do we even begin? How do we identify these beliefs that are hiding out in our subconscious?
Well, the author suggests a few things. One is to just pay attention to your self-talk.
Okay.
Notice those recurring negative thoughts that pop up.
Especially
when you're stressed or facing a challenge.
So when I catch myself thinking, I'll never get over this, or I'm such a failure, red flag.
Exactly. Those are clues that there might be a deeper limiting belief at play. Another way is to think about patterns in your life.
Patterns. Always attracting the same kind of unhealthy relationships or sabotaging myself right before I'm about to achieve a goal.
Yes, those recurring themes can be strong indicators of limiting beliefs. And then, of course, there's muscle testing.
Ah, yes. Muscle testing, our direct line to the subconscious. How can we use that to pinpoint these beliefs specifically?
You can ask very targeted questions like, do I have a belief that I'm not worthy of love? Or do I believe it's dangerous for me to be successful?
So we're like detectives using muscle testing to get our subconscious to spill the beans. Gotta love it. So once we identify those sneaky beliefs, how do we actually change them? What are some of the techniques the author suggests?
One technique is called chakra tapping.
Chakra tapping. Now, when we talk about chakras, we're referring to those energy centers in the body, right?
Exactly. Each chakra is associated with specific aspects of our being.
Physical, emotional,
mental,
spiritual.
All of the above.
Okay, so how does tapping on those energy centers help us shift our beliefs?
Think of it as using the energy of the chakras to clear out those old unhelpful patterns.
Okay.
Make space for new positive beliefs.
Can you walk me through how to actually do chakra tapping?
Sure. It starts with identifying the specific belief you want to change. Then you choose the chakra that most resonates with that belief.
Got it. Can you give me an example how this would work in practice?
So let's say you're working with the belief, I'm not good enough.
Okay.
You might choose to focus on the solar plexus chakra. That's the one associated with self-worth and confidence.
That makes sense. And then we tap on that chakra point?
Yep. While you're tapping, you repeat affirmations that directly counteract that negative belief.
So instead of, I'm not good enough, we'd say something like,
I am worthy, or I am enough just as I am.
I love that. It's so empowering. Like we're reclaiming our power with every tap.
Mm-hmm.
The author also mentions another technique for clearing beliefs called the sweep. Can you tell me about that one?
Ah, yes, the sweep. This one is about, like, gently guiding those old limiting beliefs out of your subconscious mind
Okay.
and installing new positive ones. It's like sweeping out the cobwebs, making space for something brighter.
I love that imagery. It sounds so gentle yet powerful. This is starting to feel very hopeful. But I'm wondering, like, how long does this actually take to transform those deep-seated beliefs? Is this a quick fix or more of a long-term process?
It's definitely not a quick fix.
Okay.
Transforming those beliefs takes time, consistent effort. But the good news is, with each clearing, you're creating positive shifts in your energy system, moving closer to a state of wholeness.
So we've got our toolbox for identifying and clearing those pesky hidden beliefs. But what about the everyday habits and patterns that can keep us stuck in negativity? Even if we're doing the deeper work, it seems like our daily actions could really help or hinder our progress.
You're absolutely right. Even when we're doing the deep work of clearing those subconscious patterns, our everyday thoughts and actions can either support our healing or sabotage it.
So how do we create like a more healing environment in our daily lives? How do we nurture those positive changes we're making on that deeper level? What does the book suggest?
Well, she dives into some common emotional patterns that can really get in the way of healing.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give me some examples. What kind of patterns are we talking about?
One big one is negative self-talk.
Ugh, I know that voice all too well. It can be brutal.
It really is. It's about becoming aware of those negative thought loops and consciously choosing to replace them with positive affirmations.
So instead of beating myself up for every little mistake, I can choose to.
Offer yourself compassion and encouragement. Remind yourself that you're doing the best you can, that every day is a fresh start.
I love that. What other patterns does she highlight?
Another common one is the victim mentality.
Okay.
That tendency to dwell on past wrongs and feel powerless to change our circumstances.
It's so easy to get stuck in that woe is me mindset, especially when we've been through tough times. How do we break free from that?
It's about shifting from blame and resentment to empowerment and responsibility. It's not about denying the challenges, but focusing on what you can control,
Right.
what you can learn, how you can move forward.
So less why me and more what now. I like that shift in perspective. What other patterns should we be on the lookout for?
Taking things personally.
Oh, that's a big one for me. I tend to overthink everything, assume everyone's actions are a direct reflection of me.
It's really common, but when we take everything personally, we create so much stress for ourselves, unnecessary suffering.
So true. So how do we, like, learn to detach a little, not take everything so personally?
It's about recognizing that other people's actions, their opinions, are often more about them than about us. It's about taking a step back and choosing not to absorb other people's negativity.
Wow, that's a powerful reframe. It's like a weight's been lifted. Are there any other emotional patterns we should be mindful of?
Oh, yeah, fear.
Oh, yeah.
Fear can manifest in so many ways. Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of failure, even fear of success.
Oh, totally. Fear can be paralyzing. How do we address that fear that can keep us from really healing, from living fully?
It's about recognizing that fear is a natural human experience, but we don't have to let it control us. It's not about pretending we're not afraid.
So it's okay to acknowledge our fears.
Absolutely. It's about acknowledging the fear, but choosing not to let it dictate your actions or limit your potential.
So it's about moving forward even when we're feeling afraid.
It is. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act in spite of it.
This is all sounding very empowering. But I'm curious, does the author give like concrete examples of how to overcome these unhealthy patterns? It's one thing to understand them, but how do we actually put these insights into action?
Oh yeah, she shares tons of examples from her own healing journey and her work with clients.
Could you share one with us?
Yeah.
I'm really curious about how she helps someone break free from, say, that victim mentality.
Sure. She talks about a client named Maggie who was so focused on recounting every injustice she'd experienced.
Okay.
She was actually adding more energy to those negative experiences.
Oh, wow.
Keeping herself stuck.
So she was inadvertently holding herself back by staying in that victim role.
Exactly. The author helped her to understand that while it's important to acknowledge and process those difficult experiences, dwelling on them just keeps the cycle of suffering going.
So it's about finding that balance between honoring the past and, choosing to focus on creating a more positive future.
Yeah, it's about shifting from powerlessness to empowerment. From this happened to me to I choose to create something different.
This is amazing. It really highlights how these patterns can hold us back, but also how we have the power to change them.
That's the key. You are not a victim of your past or your circumstances. You have the power to choose how you respond, how you think, how you live.
Okay, so we've unpacked some common emotional patterns and learned some powerful techniques for transforming them. I'm curious, what does the author say about the healing process itself? What can we expect, as we embark on this journey?
That's a great question, and something she addresses in detail. She makes it clear that healing isn't always a straightforward, linear process.
Meaning?
It's not always a straight line from illness to wellness.
So we shouldn't expect to just wake up one day and be magically healed.
Right. It can be messy, unpredictable, even frustrating at times.
Okay.
But she emphasizes that there are these common healing patterns we can learn to recognize and work with.
Okay, let's break those patterns down. What are some of the different ways that healing might, unfold?
So she describes 3 common patterns. The first is what she calls the home run.
Home run. That sounds promising. What does that look like?
It's when you experience a sudden, noticeable improvement.
Like, boom, you're healed.
Yeah, like hitting it out of the park. You've been clearing those blockages, shifting your mindset, and then bam, you wake up one day, the pain's gone, the symptoms have vanished, and you feel brand new.
That sounds incredible.
Ugh.
But is it realistic to expect a home run every time?
While it's definitely possible, it's not the most common pattern. Sometimes healing is more gradual, and sometimes it might even feel like you're taking a few steps back before moving forward.
So what are the other patterns? What can we expect if we don't experience that, sudden miraculous shift?
The second pattern she describes is physical and emotional retracing.
Retracing, like going back over old ground.
Exactly. This is when old symptoms resurface, or you experience intense emotions that you thought you'd already worked through. It might feel like backsliding, but it's actually a sign that the body's releasing those deeply held patterns.
So, those old wounds are finally coming to the surface to be fully healed.
That's a great way to think about it. It can be challenging to go through retracing, but it's a positive sign that your body's doing its healing work.
So we don't need to panic if we experience those old symptoms flaring up again.
Right. It's about understanding that retracing is a natural part of the process. The author even shares an example from her own experience.
Oh, I'd love to hear about it. What happened?
She'd been feeling relatively well for a while, but then suddenly experienced this resurgence of those old Lyme symptoms.
That must have been so discouraging. How did she deal with that?
Well, she realized that her body, now stronger and more vital, was able to go back and address those deeper imbalances.
Okay.
The ones that had been lurking beneath the surface. It was like her system was finally ready for this major detox.
So retracing is like a deeper level of healing, even though it might feel like we're going backwards.
Exactly. Healing doesn't always follow a straight line. There will be twists and turns, but as long as you're moving in the general direction of well-being, you're on the right track.
Okay. 2 healing patterns down, 1 to go. What's the third way healing can unfold?
The author refers to it as baby steps.
Baby steps. So
Yeah.
slow and steady progress.
Yes, it's when we experience gradual, incremental improvement over time. There might not be any dramatic breakthroughs, but you're consistently moving forward.
Okay.
One small step at a time.
I love that. It's like the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly. And while it might not feel as exciting as the home run, baby steps can be a very sustainable and fulfilling way to heal.
Do you have an example of what, this baby steps healing might look like?
Yeah, the author shares a story about a client named Alice who was struggling with chronic fatigue and other lingering Lyme symptoms. After clearing some limiting beliefs, Alice started to experience slow but steady improvement. She was able to gradually wean herself off naps, increase her work hours, and even start planning family vacations again.
So it was those small daily wins that added up over time.
Exactly. And while it might have taken a bit longer than a sudden home run, her progress was consistent and lasting, which ultimately led to a huge change in her life.
That is so inspiring. It really reminds us that even if we don't see immediate dramatic results, every step we take towards healing is valuable.
That's the key. It's about trusting the process, being patient with yourself, and celebrating every victory, no matter how small.
Okay, we've covered these different ways healing can unfold, and I'm feeling pretty pumped. But what about those times when, we hit a snag? What if we're doing all the work but still feeling stuck or overwhelmed?
That's totally normal. It's important to remember that healing is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, twists and turns. She reminds us that it's a lifelong process of growth and transformation.
So there's no finish line,
Right.
no magic moment when we've suddenly arrived at perfect health and happiness.
It's more about enjoying the journey with all its imperfections and challenges, and trusting that we're always evolving, becoming more of who we're meant to be.
I love that. It's less about striving for some perfect outcome and more about embracing the journey of becoming our truest selves.
Beautifully said. Her final message is all about connecting with that innate healing power within each of us,
Yeah.
honoring our body's wisdom,
Yeah.
making choices that support our well-being, and creating a life that feels authentic, aligned with our deepest values.
That's such a powerful message. This deep dive into heal yourself has been so insightful. I'm already feeling inspired to start applying some of these techniques and principles.
Me too. What stands out to you as the most valuable takeaway?
I think what resonates most with me is that reminder that healing isn't about achieving some perfect state of health. It's about embracing the journey with all its messiness and challenges.
Absolutely. And it's not about fixing what's broken, but about becoming who you truly are.
Exactly. It's about tapping into our innate ability to heal, trusting our body's wisdom, and creating a life that feels aligned with our true selves.
The author actually leaves us with this really thought-provoking question to ponder.
Oh, I love a good question to ponder.
Mhm.
What is it?
If your body could talk to you about what it needs to heal, what would it say?
That's such a powerful question. It really makes you think about tuning in and listening to your body on a deeper level. Paying attention to those little whispers of wisdom.
Exactly. It's all about cultivating that connection with ourselves
Yeah.
and honoring our bodies. They're wise and powerful allies in this healing journey.
It's like that saying, your body is your temple.
Right.
We need to treat it with that respect, that reverence, and really listen to his messages.
And she gives us some great techniques to do that.
Yeah, we've talked about some of the muscle testing, chakra tapping, the sweep.
Yeah, those can help us access that subconscious mind.
Right.
Clear those blockages and start rewriting those limiting beliefs, the ones that can hold us back.
And she emphasizes that healing, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. What works for one person might not work for someone else. It's about finding what resonates with you, what feels right for your needs.
Definitely.
So tuning into our intuition and figuring out what feels right for us,
Yeah.
what are some ways she suggests we tap into that inner wisdom?
She encourages us to pay attention to how different things feel in our bodies. Techniques, practices, all of it.
Does something feel expansive and energizing? Or constricting and draining?
Yeah, exactly. Our bodies are so intelligent, they'll give us feedback. We just have to listen.
Right.
And if something feels good, keep doing it. If not, explore other options.
So it's less about rigid rules and more about playing around and discovering what works.
That's the beauty of it. It's a journey of self-discovery. The more we trust that inner guidance, the more fulfilling and effective the process will be.
We're uncovering our own unique blueprint for healing. This has been such a great exploration of heal yourself. I mean, I've covered so much, from practical techniques to those really profound insights about the true nature of healing.
It really has. What stands out to you as the most important takeaway?
It's that reminder that healing is not a destination. It's this lifelong process, not about achieving some perfect state of health or happiness, but about embracing the journey, with all its messiness and imperfections.
I love that. And it's not about fixing what's broken, but about becoming who you truly are.
Exactly. It's about tapping into our innate power to heal, honoring our bodies, and creating a life that feels aligned with our deepest values and our truest selves.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Heal Yourself.
And to you, listening, may this deep dive empower you to embark on your own unique healing journey. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to heal. Trust your intuition, honor your body's wisdom, and believe in your capacity for wholeness.
Beautifully said. Until next time, keep diving deep.